Well, we have another problem. It's with our slides this time, and we've got to get the bladder seals replaced on both the front and the back. Quite a story to tell on these.
There's been always something.
Yeah. We're trying to get it done so we can get on the road to get to West Palm Beach for Prevost Week and the show over there.
And Florida is calling me. I need to get my feet in the sand.
She does. This one, if she's not in some warm weather with some sand and surf ever so often.
And sunshine on me.
Yeah, not so good. So you make sure to take care of that need.
I'm wilting here in Texas. It's been really cold. Like last week it was 9 degrees.
Yeah, it's been cold, guys. All right, we're headed there. We'll tell you more in just a moment.
Yeah, come along with us. Well, we've encountered some new problems with our Prevost bus. We're happy that you're here with us to hear about what the latest dilemma is.
To share in our pain.
Oh, man. We have been feeling it. So, too much pressure was in the slides, and we had slide failure.
So what happens, there is a bladder that goes around the slides, kind of like a bicycle tube. And there's one on the front slide and two back. We have a 2-slide coach. And those max pressure is about 10 to 12 psi. That's about as much as you would normally want in them. And they were dialed up both to 40. Yeah, you heard me right. 40 psi. Completely shredded the rear slide bladder and put a leak in the front one as well.
Yeah. So, not exactly sure where, when, how it got turned up to 40. Our bus has encountered various problems along the way, but someone clearly didn't know what they were doing and did that. And so now we have because we're heading to West Palm and then Key West after that, so we pretty much need to get our slides fixed so that we can head on out to Florida. And so right now, we're heading to Platinum, and they have repair techs. He is a Prevost connoisseur. He knows everything about Prevost, grew up with them, and has all kind of expertise. And he is going to be, and his team, fixing these 2 slides for an emergency repair so that we can possibly still head to West Palm because we're dying to go.
Yeah, we had a little extra time built into our stops, so this is going to put us leaving about a day late. Fortunately, he was able to work through the weekend to get it done. We were planning on leaving Tuesday morning, and so now we're probably looking at Wednesday morning. So,
who knows? Maybe we'll even leave Tuesday night. I don't know, but we don't like to travel at night.
No.
I don't know what y'all think, but it just seems to be dangerous when you don't exactly know the park that you're going into. We've done that before. When the day took longer, we had more delays than we thought we would, and you pull into that site that's finally available once you figured out where you're at. And it's a little scary getting in there when it's dark outside and you're trying to hook up the sewer hose and hook up the electricity and you're exhausted. And the dog still needs to be walked.
Just trying to get in a spot without hitting anything. That's my goal. So, Chad, we got one of these texts, kind of letting us know how things were going, and it said, how they have to remove all the adhesive in the areas so that you prep the area for the new bladders to go back into, and then it says those words you don't want to hear. It said, it's all going well, but it's taking hours and hours and hours. No joke. He said hours 3 times. So that just scares the heck out of you guys, right? When you know those hourly rates. But, I think he's trying to do it very efficiently for us at a very fair price. He seems like a really good guy.
Right.
And we're just anxious to get it done.
We want it done right, though, because we want to be long-term players with this bus. And you're not going to sit there and replace your slide tubes anytime soon. So it needs to be a quality job. It needs to be adhered. And, we've really been blessed with sunny weather today.
Yeah.
Because in talking with Chad, he said that really makes a difference too. Those tubes, they need to be warmed up, right? Because when they come out of it's like a tube kit that you buy. And
so we're anxious to meet him, Chad, over at Platinum in Louisville. And this is all these cities that I'm speaking of are just circled right around Dallas.
Yeah, it's kind of north of Dallas. And he has a a shop there in Louisville in kind of the industrial area, but it's really easy access coming on and off. And I think that Chad even repairs coaches all throughout the United States, that some people just have them. He goes and picks up their coach, he gets it all repaired, and then he drives it back. So, that's good to know about a service like that. So we'll be checking out Platinum and hearing more what Chad has to say.
Yep. So we're headed there now. Guys, we'll show you more as we see more.
Yes, wish us luck.
We're replacing the seals.
Correct.
And so tell me, what is it that is important in that process?
Well, it's a lengthy process. It's time consuming. It's not hard work. It's just a lot of labor.
Yep.
There's a flange on top of the slide, which I've got up here on the roof. But it has to be, the sealant around it has to be cut out from the top.
Okay.
And the bolts removed or screws removed, and you've got to pry the C-flange out so you can physically, it's what holds the room in place while it's going down the road, while the pins are in and it's locked. So you've got to be able to remove that so you can extend or retract the slide further into the body of the coach.
That's one of the things I really noticed. You don't pull the slide out to replace the seal.
No.
You've actually pushed the slide into the coach.
The room is pushed into the coach to the very end of the gear tracks, and you have to make sure not to push it too far, because if it falls off the gear tracks, it's not good. But after that, it's just pull the old seal off, and a lot of scrape and prep and scrape and prep and clean. If you use a wire wheel and a grinder, it just comes up. I find Goo-Gone, razor blades, and elbow grease is about the best way to go about it.
It takes care of that stuff.
And clean it up with lacquer thinner, and that's just about it. So it's just a lengthy process.
We had a couple of problems. What started us down this path was the fact that we had a leak over over the slide, right here at the sofa behind the driver's chair. And then we had the second problem where the slides weren't coming out. So is what you're doing now, will that address both those things?
Correct, because what's happened is this seal, both of the seals were blown. And the seal, it's a process. The seal has to, or the brain that runs the system, the pran module, it has to pull the vacuum on the seals to deflate them and vacuum them and compress them down to run the room in or out.
Right.
And if the hole is so big in the actual seal, and the system can't pull a vacuum down to zero, then it won't initiate the second process to release the pins and run the slide out and so forth. So, and then when the slide is in and the seal's inflating, that hissing that you're hearing is the air passing through the seal. And it's also extremely crucial that in the third bay driver's side is the slide out manifold and controls, and it's very crucial that the regulator is set to no more than about, on this particular coach, about 12 psi, because if it is cranked above that, or if the regulator has trash, it's important to keep your air system serviced and your air dryer maintained and serviced and changed on regular intervals, and bleed the water out of your aux tanks, because if moisture gets in the system and something gets in that regulator, these seals they're very durable, but yet at the same time they're very delicate. I'm not recommending cranking them above pressure, but you can to a certain extent, and they won't blow. But if you put more than double the PSI rating on them, they will blow.
Hey guys, just to give you an idea, the rating is about 10 to 12 pounds. These somehow had gotten set at 40. So if you're wondering why they blew, now you know. Now, Chad, I know you've got both of the new bladders to put in there. I see them sitting in the sun out over here. What's the deal with that?
They're just a really thick rubber material, and of course, when it's cold, they're more brittle. They're stiff. and we usually try to lay them out in the sun, or if it's extremely cold, inside the shop. And the only reason I don't have this bus inside the shop right now is this is just an emergency 911 job, and I knew less than 24 hours that it needed to be done. I picked up the coach in the pouring rain about 8:30 on Friday night, and I've had totally, let's see, it's Sunday afternoon. I've had probably about 5 hours of sleep total since then.
Oh, wow.
And we're desperately trying to get this done for tomorrow afternoon sometime. So, worst case Tuesday morning, because once we get the seals in, or the keepers in and the seals in, it's a lot easier once the seal is soft and more pliable to mold it all into the proper shape, and then also to snap the actual seal into the track. And then once we get that done, the room has to be cranked back out, extended all the way, and then we have to clean and prep where all of the old sealant was on top, where the flange goes back in, and then it has to be all taped up and sealed again, and it has to sit for 24 hours to dry, because where the seam is up here, when the room is in to the flush travel position of the coach, the seal pretty much inflates and touches right on top of where that line of sealant is on top of the flange, so it has to dry.
Yeah.
But we, in a case where we don't have Mother Nature on our side, like today, sometimes I'll put the seals in a room and crank the heat way up or something like that to soften them up.
Yeah. What do you think about timeline?
Realistically, Tuesday morning, because it has to
Yeah.
it has to sit.
Okay.
Because what happens is, if the sealant on top is not cured and the seal inflates and it pushes down on that line of sealant, it's going to stick to the seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be, it just has to cure. I drove the coach here Friday night. It drives great. Absolutely wonderful. I ran the generator a little bit this weekend, ran the Webasto, had it cranked up. I didn't know it was going to be this pretty outside today, so we actually had the seals sitting inside the bus all night with the heat cranked up. So I've just been kind of going through the systems, and customers here that are waiting for coaches, we're waiting for parts to come in and such, but I was just happy that I could do my best to squeeze this job in for you guys.
I appreciate that. Chad, tell us your business name and where you're located, so if people see this and want to contact you, how would they do that?
Absolutely. It's Platinum Coach and RV. We're in Lewisville, Texas, off of Highway 121 Business. And my phone number is 337-789-1982. I've been here since the beginning of 2012, but been around buses all of my life. I grew up in buses. My family had 13 different coaches while I was growing up. We had 9 Bluebirds and 4 Prevosts over the years.
Oh, wow.
I'm very
You've been around
familiar,
a couple of them.
and bus is in my blood, so to speak. So much that I even drive a school bus 5, sometimes 6 days a week during normal hours across the street, and then I work here at nights, or doing whatever we need to do to try to take care of our customers.
That's great.
As a matter of fact, I've been letting it cycle. You probably heard it, but your generator just fired up.
Yeah, I heard it. Sure did.
It's bus is very, very healthy. Batteries are healthy. It's just doing what it needs to do.
We just got the valves reset. I don't know, a month ago over at Inland, and I haven't driven it since then. But everybody who's driven said it's really smooth.
It's a significant difference, and I wasn't. Detroit recommends around 100,000 miles. I mean, it's some of the sweetest buses I've ever driven have had. If maintained properly, 500, 600. It's just like a stick of butter going down the road. And I will admit that I wasn't a big believer in kind of the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But the very first coach years back that I was involved with doing the valve adjustment on, it was like a night and day difference after.
Yeah.
So not only in the power, but your fuel economy as well.
Yeah.
It's really a big difference. And of course, I mean, I couldn't get up to speed too much, but it was pouring down rain when I picked it up Friday night. But towing my truck here, it was nice and smooth and ran great.
Hey, did you hear that, guys? Maybe a little even better mileage. You got to love that.
Zero issues with it at all. So other than we're just making a mess of it. Boy, we'll get it all cleaned up when it's when it's over with. So hey, don't miss any spots back there. My main man that came out on a Sunday to make sure that we could try to get this taken care of.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Well, we appreciate you. I'm so happy that you guys came by, and I had texted some information last night to you guys and some pictures, but kind of hard to grab my phone when you're all covered in things, so.
This is an awesome deal to see it all.
We're going to let these guys get back after it, but this is what a job looks like.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
You got the buses in
This
here, don't
is
you?
a working yard, nothing fancy. This is the hospital. This is where we make them work.
I think this is maybe the ER.
Yeah.
Right? We're not even at the hospital.
Exactly. This is the ER.
What all kind of jobs do you do on the bus?
You know, light mechanical work, batteries, tires. We do full audio, video, lighting, flooring, windows, slide seals. I don't own it, but a good friend of mine does. There's a good body shop in the back of my business, Spectrum Painting. So this Newell here is actually going into the body shop tomorrow. They've got a 50-foot paint booth next door to put buses in. So he does all of our body work. We do full-on upholstery, anything like that. So we just try to do what we can. The worst thing you can do is let a bus sit.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of motorhome buyers, like I've got an 08 Country Coach double slide XL2 listed right now, and the folks have a 19 Cornerstone. And you know, even though they're going from a 45-foot triple slide, full wall slide, bath and a half, down to a double slide, single bath 08, you know, it with 90,000 miles on it, you know, a lot of folks have a phobia in their mind, or a fear that, you know, oh gosh, I'm buying an older vehicle with 100,000 miles on it, it's worn out. Well, that's not, there couldn't be anything farther from the truth.
Yeah.
And you know, it's better to have a higher mileage bus that's been properly maintained and exercised than to have an extremely low mile one that just sat.
Yeah.
And it's kind of we have a term in the business, it's called lot rot.
Lot rot.
And they just sit, and you know, systems need to be constantly used and exercised and maintained, and you know, it's like I'm from South Louisiana, you know, we're hurricanes all the time. You know, a lot of folks buy a brand new generator and everything and set it up outside their house, and they don't maintain it, they don't start it once a week, whatever, and then when they need it, it doesn't work. You know, this is a living, breathing thing. It constantly has to be exercised and you know, so forth and so on. So I promise you, you will not hurt it by using it.
Okay.
At all. It is desperately, you know, this is a commercial vehicle, you know, that's designed to be driven, you know, 100,000+ miles a year up and down the road, and you know, that the average motorhomer puts at most 10,000 miles a year on a bus. So even when they're, you know, using it and exercising it and thinking that they're using it enough, it's not. You can put it on the road 24/7, 365, and it's what it's desperately needing.
Hey, good advice from a guy that knows what he's talking about.
It desperately needs to be used and exercised. You will not hurt it by using it.
All right. Chad,
Not
thanks.
at all. Thank
you.
I'm so happy
Appreciate
you guys stopped by. If I'd have known, I would have maybe not looked so bad, but
Hey, you look great to us.
well, and you know that no matter how bad I look, I'm still better looking than him. So.
There you go.
You know.
We'll talk about that later.
I have to reassess that one, huh? All right.
Here we go.
Thanks, guys.
You are so welcome,
Good luck, guys.
I'll text you later on this afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely, we appreciate you guys.
We just got out of Platinum RV talking with Chad, and wow, that was a lot.
Yeah.
You know, the slides was our last big thing to get taken care of, or at least we're hoping. And we know there's always going to be something. We're not kidding ourselves. But this was a big one, and I was really surprised to see how the slides went into the coach. And from the inside, which we didn't take any pictures of, you know, that slide moves inward, and he was talking about how you can't go too far or it'll come off the tracks, but it has to be far enough to be able to access everything. I think my takeaway, Linda, and you tell me what you think, was that I know it was a lot, but I think it was good news. He really had great things to say about the coach, the way it ran, the systems he had gotten into was all working. He acted like, hey, this is a big job, but I do a lot of these all the time, and it's just something that happens at a certain age. So in an odd way, that gave me a good feeling.
That was comforting that he said our coach had really great bones, that even though we first thought it had more miles on it than we typically saw, he was really warning against buying a coach with low miles that was an older coach, because that just means that coach hasn't been exercised well. And so you never know what kind of failures you're going to get, because a lot of parts get very old and crispy over time, especially if they haven't been exercised. These buses want to be exercised. So, yeah, that was good. But, it also makes me think about, okay, I can see why there's a lot of Prevost with no slides. And that if you have no slides, you don't have these problems when it comes to slide failure. So, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're thinking about getting a Prevost at some point in time, that's a pro or con. Do you want the slides or do you not? Let us know in the comments if you have a Prevost with no slides, and if that was a reason that you just didn't want the extra maintenance, or what made you decide that. We'd love to hear from you.
Slide or no slide. We have several friends that have other channels, and some of them have Prevosts, and they have no slides, and that does take that entire mechanical system out of the equation, and so that can be a good thing. I find it interesting, Brandon said in an episode or two ago how the gold standard in Prevost motor coaches is the 2-slide unit, because so many people travel a long way, and that's a lot of times the reason they choose a Prevost in the first place is because they're putting a lot of miles in their coaches. They're really out and about seeing things, and he was indicating that the 2-slide coach is kind of the gold standard, and still to this day, probably half of the Prevosts that are coming off the line are 2-slide coaches still, either in the X3 now or the new H3.
And I can really understand, because if you have to do maintenance on these, and if they're probably going to fail at about the same amount of time, and if you have to, for what we're probably going to end up paying for all the man hours of the labor of getting this peeled down to the very bottom, just so that these new slide tubes will adhere properly, that's kind of a tricky process. But to do 4 of those, and even just the length of time that it would take to get a tech who'd be able to do that level of work, because not every tech's capable of this type of work. But then they'd have to have that much time to be able to do 4 slides. I mean, not every tech is ready for that opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't want to touch it. It's just not their expertise. But Chad, he was right on it.
Yeah,
and has the ability.
He has been raised with Prevost buses, so this is just second nature to him. He has done quite a bit of this. So
it's funny, when we were buying the coach, one of my questions was, okay, I understand a lot's been done, systems are updated, it's good to go. I said, but what would be the expectation of the next thing that will happen?
Possibly, what would be the next failure? What should we be prepared for?
And it's funny that they said, at some point, you're going to have to replace the bladders in those slides. And they said, it's a big job, but it's doable, but that will be something you have to do. And sure enough, someday came much quicker than we thought.
So you can get an inspection, and we highly recommend that. We had ours well inspected ahead of time, and even did an undercarriage inspection and have all the video of that. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. It is a well looked at video. We'll have a link there for you to check out the video, for you to see the
link will be at the end of this episode. I'll put a link.
A Prevost. And but it's really very relevant of all the different things that have to go into making a buying decision, the inspection, but the next day driving down the road, something else can fail, and that inspection didn't flag that because it was working at the time when you purchased it. So that inspection is only good for that given day, and that's something that you need to think about, because you need to be asking the questions of whoever you're buying it from. What do you think is going to fail next, so that you're prepared for it? Yeah,
we're not saying not to get an inspection. It's a great idea, but like Linda said, something's going to happen, and that checked out up front. Now, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode and enjoy our travels and tours and today about working on the coach, give us a subscribe. That would really appreciate that.
We would appreciate a like, any comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you ever see us out and about, we're going to be at the Prevost show coming up in West Palm. And if you see us out and about, please introduce yourself. We love to meet our RV community. And please come and meet us. We'd love to take a picture with you and just get to know you better.
It's Zack and Linda with Live Tomorrow Now.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.